Hello, Internet. Welcome to the next episode. Adi just teased you in the first episode that we're going to talk about Anwar. So, what is happening with Anwar Ibrahim, Adi?
You're in KL, Hafiz. I think there was quite a small gathering going about in KL, waving very evocative and very particular banners and slogans, right? Turun Anwar, asking the Prime Minister to step down after only about, I think this is coming to his third year in office, right? Hafiz, halfway through
Correct.
his term, already protests coming out, people saying that he should resign, he should step down. Not long, and it's not, I think about a week after Parliament finally started convening for this month, and after an open challenge from the Prime Minister himself to say, if you don't want me, call for a vote of no confidence in the Parliament, and asking the Speaker to entertain any motions for a vote of no confidence. What is going on, Hafiz? This is
Well, this is a demonstration led by the position of, like you mentioned, demanding the step down of Prime Minister Anwar due to a lot of reasons. But their focus here more on the personnel himself, the man himself, Anwar Ibrahim, not the government, because as they mentioned, uh, their problem right now is Anwar Ibrahim, not the government. They said that anyone from the unity government could replace him. As long as it's not Anwar Ibrahim, they are fine with it. So, of course, when it comes to Anwar Ibrahim, people who actually joined this protest were people like, of course, from the opposition and the 100-year-old centenarian, newly centenarian Tun Mahathir as well. He was at the protest. This is something that, he said in the past that protest is not our culture. So he is, after, Bersih 5, he attended Bersih 5. Now he attended this as well. I don't know if he forget that or he is a Malay dan Melayu muda lupa. And also, there's also a dispute about the numbers of the turnout on that day. It was held in the Saturday around 2 o'clock, and official number by the police reported it's around 18K, and the numbers that was claimed by the organizers is around 500,000. So there's a huge gap over there, and some conservative also saying that this is maybe in the figure around 30K. So it's no way close to 500,000 at all. But of course, they insist on that. And, the official says the police maybe 18 and 20K was happened. Now, it's not that 20K or 30K is a small figure. It is quite substantive, but of course, it's not as big as maybe Bersih. But mind you that when Bersih was started, it's around this figure. It becomes, the second edition, third edition, that garner more support, garner more people. It's just what's strikingly about this Turun Anwar protest is that 98 or 99% of these protesters are ethnic Malay. So what it tells you that the biggest winner from this protest is PAS, because PAS is this political survey, it's hinging on this Malay Muslim demographic. For Bersatu and others, it's merely just riding on PAS as well. So because these are the people who actually competing with AMNO and PKR in when it comes to their target market. But for PAS, these are the people that came from the hinterland, coming from the coastal area where Kelantan, Terengganu are. So these are the people that actually, when journalists came down and asked them, so Turun Anwar, siapa yang patut ganti Anwar? And there would, say, I don't know if you see the viral video of one person. He even said, Safwan boleh ganti Anwar. I said, Safwan? Siapa Safwan? So, even the protesters themselves do not very politically aware of why they're going there. Maybe, they're being paid or they just follow their friends. Fair point. But, at least some of these people that are being interviewed should actually know they are politicians who they're standing for. These are the Perikatan Nasional. Maybe you can mention Muhyiddin Yassin. That's good enough if you could just say his name. But it did not happen that way, and it becomes an embarrassment to them. Not that this is move the needles to actually make Anwar step down, but it has a backfire badly, Adi, for the Perikatan Nasional. What do you think about the protest, and Turun Anwar?
I think I want to echo what our real institution said, was that let Anwar serve out his term. We do not want another round of instability going about, especially at a very delicate time here in Malaysia. I really don't want to see another government fall here and there. I think we should just finally be grateful that we should have a government that can serve out its entire term, for good or for worse, right? Because I do not want a case where there's a vote of no confidence, the prime minister gets removed, election, and then there's going to be rounds of excuses of what ifs and said things that, well, he didn't serve his full term, so we don't know if he's going to be good or not. I think only when he serves that full term do we know the full extent of the effectiveness of him as a prime minister and the effectiveness of his administration, right? That, I think, is the best way we can actually assess whether this long-standing fight that he's been wanting for, this position he's fighting for a long time, was worth all of that, right? And only when he serves a full term, then me personally, I feel that I can finally give a final judgment on him as a character and as a statesman. But going to this protest, I think you rightly mentioned that the demographic that attended this rally, it's not meant to convert anybody to come over and say that, oh, maybe you're right, maybe our prime minister is not good at all, I'll join these people. No. I think what is going on is just trying to re-galvanize support for a demographic that's already convinced, right? Now you mentioned PAS Bersatu Perikatan Nasional, essentially, right? They have shown that they can amass the numbers. They have shown that they still have a lot of political weightage, especially among Malay Muslims, and then especially among the conservative side of the Malay Muslims in Malaya. And I think this is just to re-establish themselves and to showcase that, hey, that we're still a entity, that we're still a bloc that can still challenge the current government, and as an opposition will throw a lot of political weight around. And that one you cannot understate it, because like you mentioned, Haffiz, is that the first time is that like the first Bersih, you had similar numbers and it grew and grew and grew. What happens if there's going to be a Turun Anwar 2.0 next year, and then 3.0 when his final year and office is in his final year in office, right before the next general election, right? Maybe it'll build up even more momentum, right? And bringing in even more people across the peninsula to come down and say that, no, we don't want this prime minister, to reject the prime minister. And in a way, it's a great primer as well, if it keeps happening consistently leading up to the general elections, to just reconsolidate that kind of support and saying that, okay, we're looking out after the interests of the Malay Muslims here. And then, well, we have Tun Mahathir there also spouting out the same rhetoric that he's always done, which is the preservation of Malay, whatever, nationalism and all that, for his political advantage, essentially, right? So I see is that this rally is not meant to exactly tell people like how Bersih was, is that is telling people that corruption is happening, we have to take down this government because all this rampant corruption is happening. No, I think it's just to reassert a very dominant opposition that's very strong, you cannot deny is very influential, and to also show to the people that these are your voters, that has been lost. That is not on the whole reformasi or kerajaan perpaduan ticket, right? That this ticket is not going to be working on them, and it's also a clear indicator that what really these kinds of segments of society really do want out of their particular leaders, right? And in a way, it's now responsibility. It's going to be no longer a defensive game for the unity government and the components of the unity government. If they want to take on these voters, is going to be an attacking game on how they can convince them that their agendas and objectives align with this more conservative turnout, right? But then again, usually Malaysian politics is that you're not really convincing anybody. You're just reestablishing support in an already established community. If I'm a, you know, Chinese person in DAP, right? I'm only going to be talking to Chinese voters, right? I'm only going to be telling things that Chinese voters want to hear. I'm not going to be trying convincing Malay people in the kampung, right, to vote for me unless I can find a way to spin a narrative or say things that still aligns with them, right? Everything is already entrenched. It is just depends on whether you have the right political politician that's able to get that confidence from them. Because it's more also that I'm not going to go to the side because I like the guy. It's because the guy that I traditionally support from the party I traditionally support doesn't really represent what I support the party for anyway. So that I think is the wider conversation when it comes to the rally. In the wider context of our whole political arena and dynamic now.
And another thing also, Adi, why this protest has failed to convert into a momentum to actually kick Anwar from his chair is that it's very disorganized and has no real purpose, as we see. Remember when you talk about the university students' protest in front of Sogo, and then they march to, of course, to Padang Merdeka as well, that they actually have list down a few demands. Like one of them, like is the they want the to expedite the judiciary reform and parliament reform as well. So these are the things that you list down, your actual demand, so that whoever the media and the government can listen to you and actually and hear you out, and okay, then we can address the very problem. So for this Turun Anwar, like I mentioned, this is particularly the problem that all of them have towards a one individual. So they could not actually list down what's wrong with Anwar, because that would be like ad hominem, like attacking someone's character. So but what they're trying to do here is just, when they actually get together, then it's just a lot of ceramah from each and every one, Bersatu leader or whatever. And then what is this? Like, it's not organized in terms of, I think they should hire those university students for them to do another Turun Anwar 2.0 rather than just for them, the past people, and organize this protest. It was more effective for the university students to do this, because you need to actually voice out your concern, your demand. If you really don't want Anwar as Prime Minister, please list down at least your top 3 why Anwar is not deserve his seat as a Prime Minister right now. Otherwise, shut your mouth and be on your way, because just 2 days after that, on Monday, Anwar broke a deal with peace deal with, as we mentioned in the first episode, Thailand and Cambodia, and no one even hear about Turun Anwar news anymore. All the news about Cambodia and Thailand was, taking places, spread it around, and no one even talk about that anymore. Here he is, Anwar, in Putrajaya, making these 2 leaders shaking hands again. That's actually stories that overrides another story. So it failed miserably. It could have been better if they make an actual demand out of it. And then, just like any other protest, just like Bersih do as well. So this is, again, another big failure by the opposition to write on this, because otherwise they could just, voice the demand in Parliament, because at that time, it was the Parliament was convening, and they could actually raise the questions. But of course, they would say an excuse that, there's a limitation to talk inside the Dewan, but of course outside the Dewan it could be similarly done in the street as well. So I don't know, Adi, is our opposition running out of ammunition? If this keep happening until 2027, it could spell disaster for the opposition. But moreover is that government could felt very, complacent as well, if they see that opposition couldn't get together, not even a successful protest, let alone winning the general elections. Because as we know, Adi, and we mentioned, most demographic are Malay, and no party can rule Malaysia from Malay votes alone. You need a lot of Malay votes, substantial from Chinese, Indian, and Sabah Sarawak's native as well. So these are the requirement. Otherwise, PAS can say bye-bye to being Awang Hadi can say bye-bye to become a prime minister, because, as much as you, I don't know, if you max out even 95, 98%, it will not win Adi the seat of prime minister.
But I think I might have to dispute some of that perceptions, because, like I said, this rally is not exactly to, I think, be in a way successful to bring down the prime minister or to convert anybody. It's just to reestablish support for their own voter demographic. Is to show that we listen to our voters, we take care of our voters' views and all that, and we're going to take action on it, right? So in a way, I think it's successful in the sense that it it make sure that Perikatan National's supporters, right? Perikatan National itself is just galvanizing its supporters, probably in preparation. And I think when it comes to prime ministership, leadership in government, Hafiz, I think for past they've been very comfortable just being in the opposition, saying whatever the hell they want, doing what they've been doing for the past many years, right? It's Bersatu, I think, is the one that's trying to put themselves in striking distance with having premier leadership position, which they once had, right? But I think that train seems to be more controlled by PAS at this point. PAS is just content with whatever it's doing now, and I think what they are trying to do is just apply more pressure through stoking existing anxieties and existing nationalist sentiments within the conservative Muslim Malay voters, right? And I think that is their whole long game. But that is where the potential for worry would arise. I won't say potential for tension or whatever. Is that if the further you go, right? First it says Turun Anwar. How soon left will it say? How long more until it starts becoming more radicalized, right? Because it can only go further from here, right? You could push the rhetoric even further if they'd like. They can say even more crazier things like, "Oh, the economy is in shambles. That the erosion of this and that is happening under this leadership," right? You could, at a certain point, you could push people to take more drastic measures, with how Bursi was able to take enough drastic measures where it forced people enough to oust the Barisan National Government, right? So it can only go further from here, and we've seen that with a lot of leaders, it can go further from here. And PAS really, they don't really have to answer to anybody but their own voters. The people that already support them, they already have the same ideas that they promote anyway, right? They don't need to answer to the Chinese voters. They don't have to answer to the Indian voters. They don't have to answer to Sabahan and Sarawakian voters. But maybe Sabah, a different story now, because they did say they want to try be more inclusive towards us. But who knows, right? We'll see how that plays out. So I believe that it is successful in the way that it is successful for themselves. I don't think it's successful in influencing the national level side of it, or people who already don't support them in the first place. But I think it is more of an internal victory for them. It's like having a AGM for Perikatan National supporters and friends of Perikatan National, but it is to go out there and have a ball in public, right? But I think with that said, is that this is something still I believe that the current administration and the current political arrangement with the unity government has to pay very close attention to, because let's say it pushes even further, right? And like you said, that 95% of Malay votes do go to Perikatan National, right, for PAS. Then what's the point of UMNO, right? What's the point of having a Malay party that's no longer able to capture Malay support anymore, right? And does that mean that the unity government will be forced to, make deals with PAS or even Bersatu, right? Or to balance out the ethnic composition, right? In a way, it kind of pushes the Malay away from them.
Well, what do you guys think? If you're watching already till this point, do you think Turun Anwar protest is a successful one or not? Depending on, please write down comment below. We would like to hear what you think. And I think that's it for this conversation of Turun Anwar. We recorded this, I think, more than a week after Turun Anwar protest. So a lot of people already mentioned about this. So we just gotta come to it.
Well, I mean, I think when you mentioned one story overriding the other, another rally is coming up again, Haffiz, for Gaza, right? So
Correct.
that will be interesting to see how they turn out for that.
Yeah. And moving on, and next we're gonna talk about something that has been tabled in Parliament recently. What it is, and you might not. When I mention, you will get no. That's a different thing. You will get the gist of it later on in the next episode. So stay tuned for the next episode.